And welcome to the Sports Roundtable. I'm Tom Lamont, your host. Round 2 of the high school football playoffs is in the books. 2 W's for New Hanover County Schools. Both Hogger and Hanover win. And joining us first is the head coach of the New Hanover Wildcats, Earl Smith. And Coach, congratulations on your win against Greensboro Dudley, 38-21. The Wildcats now 12-1 on the season, and a big win in round 2 at home. Defense. Great night for your defense.
Absolutely. You know, what an effort against Dudley's high-powered offense. They've been scoring points all year, and you know, they're coming off last year as the state champions in the 4A level. And you know, our front, both sides of the ball was totally outweighed. They look like a small college team, but our guys played with heart and just didn't let up.
Quite a night for one of your young men who gets 3 interceptions. You know, Francis Meehan just had a great night. Almost had 4.
Yes.
So, talk about his game.
You know, he's just all over the field. He starts at safety for us. He's our holder. He returns punts. He's on the kickoff team, and you know, he's just a key in everything. He's like a coach on the field.
Just want to, put some shout outs for him. Outstanding game for Francis in this one, 3 interceptions, and they were all in the first half. So defense really established the defensive game early for the Wildcats in this one. Coach, you got a lot of great highlights to look
Absolutely.
at. Let's take a look at the win against Greensboro Dudley.
Yeah, as I said, our front played really well. Going to do a little shout out for them. Defensive end, Chris Taylor, Rasheed Rogers, Garrick Turner, and Brandon Caesar. You're going to get both shots this week again like we did last week, but it's good to see the offensive defensive lines a little clearer. You know, I thought we had a really good, Coach Rayner had a great game plan for them. They're huge up front, and got 3 D1 players on defense, and we did just a really good job of picking and hitting the right receivers. There's a connection with Cole Tanner. You know, he's our go-to guy, clutch situations. Here's the end zone shot of it. And, you know, as I said earlier, both sides of the ball play well. Shout out to our offensive line. We got Deontis Robinson, right tackle, Jada Ellis, right guard, Alex Bordeaux at center, Attila Dalmacy, left guard, and Makai Poole at left tackle. And they've just huge improvement over the last 3 weeks. It's a good time for it to be happening, trust me.
Absolutely.
Here's a kicking game keeps being a key part. Here Wesley Gaines hits a 38-yard field goal. This gives us our first score, and you know, you got to get the points when you can, and this is such a key in the playoffs. Kind of got under it. He can hit them from. We've seen him hit them from 48 to 50 yards in practice. While we got an end zone shot here, I want to again shout out to Troy McCaskill, our snapper. He plays outside backer. Francis Meehan on the hold, and just a good job up front. They got some guys diving over, which is illegal, but you know, we took care of that. Next play, you know, speaking of Troy McCaskill, this was huge. We're up 3-0 and got them backed up and get good pressure up front on their quarterback. And errant throw here. I think he's trying to squeeze it in there, and Troy gets it. Guys did a good job of not, getting any penalties here, just enough to rub them. And Troy has a great effort to get it in the end zone, and we go up 7-0.
A big play early, getting that momentum, and defense again, giving you some points.
Yep. You can see, I don't know if it'll catch him coming back. Yeah, there it is. There it is. This is the end zone shot, and then you don't get it because it stays right in the center. You know, offensively, like I said earlier, Coach Rayner did a good job of taking what they gave us. Here's a jet sweep by Wiz. And I believe this is the one where he reverses field and scores for us. I'm sorry, still on defense here. Oh no, that's right. This was Shaquan Kemp's pick, which was our second of 5 interceptions. And Shaquan just keeps getting better and better. He didn't have an interception for the year until a couple weeks ago. Now he's got like 3, so he's coming in his own also, just a junior.
Yeah, your secondary again did a great job in covering some pretty good-sized receivers.
Yeah, both their wideouts were 6'4". And again, you can see the pressure on that quarterback. Yeah, this next play will be the jet sweep with Wiz reversing field. We're all yelling, no, 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 and then he's just amazing.
Was that something you thought you could be able to do in terms of pressuring the quarterback, with that good size offensive line that they had?
I felt like we were quicker, and if we could just get off our blocks, not get held. Again, there's a nice slant route to Jalen Gore.
Yeah, it looks like you had a lot of success with the slants in this game early.
We did, and that's a tough pass to throw, and Blake just can throw one because of the speed he puts on it. You just got to catch it. You can see it there. Jalen had a good night. He had another catch later that set up our one of our scores that won it for us. Put us ahead by 2 touchdowns. And here's a jet sweep. Had it backwards there. Wiz reverses field. Good block there by Blake Walston. And I think that put us up. I think that put us up 21-7 at that time. You can see the end zone shot of it.
Nice move there. Wiz had a good night for you. Of course, you had a 17-0 lead. You went in at halftime 24-7. And at that point, things were looking really good.
They were. I think we came out a little complacent right at the beginning of the second half. Again, continued pursuit of our defense. You can see all those guys getting to the football. We had so many tackles for losses. I don't think they were expecting that. And that's, again, we were quick. Coach Fuller was doing a good job. We were slanting quite a bit.
And with that defense and stopping their run, you forced them to throw the ball, which is not what they normally do.
Absolutely. They like to run it and control the ball, and we had them in 1st and long and 2nd and long all night long. Here's, I think, Chris Taylor, our defensive end, and Troy McCaskill kind of sandwiched the quarterback right there and hit him pretty hard. I think he went out in the, at the beginning of the 4th quarter. You can see the end zone shot on it again. Defense staying at home. Here, this is the first of 3 of Francis's 3 interceptions. Like I said, he could have had 4. Played that really well. And then gets good yardage on the return. Sets us up. Great field position for our offense. See a little bit of the pass rush here from our D-line. Yeah, I think they averaged about 290 across there as far as weight.
Yeah, that was a good sized group of young men on that front line. Your kids, I think, again, quickness was the difference.
We had 2 turnovers. One of our turnovers early was a Jabez Howard run that, he hasn't fumbled since the first scrimmage, and he was pretty upset about that. And I'm proud of him right here. He comes back and just, great blocks up front. You'll see that coming up with our end zone shot. And he's just a sophomore. He's definitely a D1 prospect. And a couple times he drugged some people. He's a strong young man.
You'd like to see that too when they do have a mistake to come right back and make a difference. And now watch the offensive line here on this blocking. Watch this. Look at this hole.
Nice hole.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Big hole right
Good stuff
there.
right there.
Blake's a little excited back there too on that.
Yeah.
He'd love to see
Spreading
that
the wheel.
offensive line do their job, and nice hole.
Grant had quite a few sacks for losses. Grant Daly, our senior linebacker, puts them in 3rd and long. I'll have to work on this next week.
Now, Coach, when the team actually, it got a little bit closer in the second half, and Dudley started to put some pressure on you, were you concerned at any point at that point when they got it within?
Absolutely, but that's where our defense stood up and made some stops, and then we'll see right here. This is when we had the big play to Jalen. We talked about that earlier. What a heck of a catch!
Yeah, that was a big pass at that point. Yeah. Needed to get that momentum back as Dudley was getting this game a little bit closer in the second half.
And I think we punched it in there. That put us back up by 10, and by 10 because we had a 3-point lead.
Yeah, it was 24-14 in the 3rd.
Yeah. Here's
then your defense shut the door here.
Yeah, Chris Taylor makes another sack there. A couple more plays will be done, but it just proud of our guys in the fourth quarter. They kind of felt the urgency, didn't panic, and hanging on. Came out of it, we're healthy to be that, we got everybody back. Had a couple guys who were nursing injuries over the past 3 weeks, and here's another post. Jalen. No, that was the one to Cole Tanner. I'm sorry. Yeah. No, that's Jalen.
Have a spot right there, right between the two defenders.
And the jet sweep. Wiz doesn't reverse this one, just takes it in, and that kind of sealed it for us. And I think that put us up by 17. And one more defensive play here. Tackle for loss again by Grant.
Right in the backfield, as the handoff was being made from the quarterback. So again, defense steps up there at the end, shuts them down. Again, a good night for Wiz Vaughn, with 2 TDs. Your quarterback and Blake Walston, again, a solid night, over 250 yards passing. No TD passes in this one, couple of interceptions, but he bounced back, kept the confidence, and the Wildcats come out on top, 38-21. Overall, just your last thoughts on this game as you move forward?
Yeah, probably the best game we've played, other than a few mistakes. But the good thing about it is we're still not playing our best, which is important to keep getting better. And there's definitely room for improvement. Playing Cape Fear again for the second time this year, that's always interesting.
Right. Yeah. You have a game that you had earlier in the season against Cape Fear at Legion Stadium back on September 1st. You win 26-19. It was a battle. You got an early lead in that contest, and but then the Colts came back and made it close. So again, here we are in the playoffs. You're getting to play another team you've already played. Your outlook for this team going up against them in the third round?
Well, they had quite a few injuries during the season. Their quarterback, of course, he played against us the first time, and he was coming off a broken leg from last season, and he was out mid-season. But I think what's happened, I know what's happened, is they've just over the last 3 or 4 weeks got everybody back, starting to improve, and we're going to have to play hard for 4 quarters. It's going to go back to turnover ratio, to special teams, because they're all a well-rounded, well-coached team.
Defensively, how do they match up against you?
Pretty good. We've seen what they did. They blitzed more the second half. When they shut us down pretty much until the fourth quarter. So I think we've improved there. So we'll see. I think both teams have improved. It should be a great third-round game.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, congratulations, first of all, on your win against Greensboro Dudley, 38-21. Taking on now the Colts of Cape Fear High School at Legion Stadium next Friday night, or this Friday night coming up, 7:30 game time. We'd love to see you out there at Legion Stadium. And again, Coach Earl Smith, the head coach of the New Hanover Wildcats, with us here on the Sports Roundtable. We'll be back with more right after this. And welcome back to the Sports Roundtable. I'm Tom Lamont, your host, and the Hoggard Vikings were in action in round 2 of the 4A high school football playoffs on Friday night. Big win at home, 63-20 against Southview. Craig Underwood, the head coach of the Vikings, now 12-0 on the season, is with us. Coach, congratulations, first of all, on the big win. What a great night for your quarterback, senior quarterback Josh Jones. Outstanding evening, accounted for 6 Viking TDs. What a big night for the senior.
I'll tell you, he just continues to improve, spreading the ball around. Multiple receivers really stepped up as well. The quarterback's numbers aren't there without Anthony Schiavone, Austin Edwards, C.J. Pipkin, multiple guys stepping up and getting some big catches. Chris Tootle had a big touchdown in the fourth quarter.
Right, you have a lot of offensive weapons. Everybody had a good night here. Great Hoggard performance overall. Defense again. Defensively, you shut them down early and got the lead, got control of the game. So overall, your thoughts over the entire performance by your Vikes in this one?
I tell you, I thought it was one of our most explosive and consistent performances offensively. We had early. We had some defensive miscues, tackling in particular, that we're really going to focus on cleaning up this week. Done a great job tackling this year, so that was a little frustrating, the touchdown drive in the first quarter. But then we largely held them to 6 points defensively for the up until a late score in the fourth, and then they had a special teams touchdown, and you got to win special teams. And I feel like we did win most phases, but one miscue on a kickoff and breathed a little bit of life back into Southview there. And again, those are things we're going to clean up on. I heard Coach Smith say earlier, the good thing is that we're not playing at our complete best yet. I think if we really get it clicking on all three cylinders, we're going to be a tough football team. So,
in addition to your success from the throwing standpoint, with Josh and your receivers doing a great job, you're able to run the ball well too. And in this contest, you got some great performances. Kenneth Marshall, Lloyd Giroux, both had good nights.
I'll tell you, the run game, and again, that's back to that offensive line. But having Lloyd back healthy, and the way that he's been able to run, I mean, it really has been a weapon for us. And then Kenneth's actually been a little banged up too, so having both those guys back, and then we got John Bennett in that run game. So I mean, those guys are really. Lloyd had over 100 yards. Kenneth had a couple really big runs in there, so it's allowing us to stay balanced.
In this contest, last week your players talked about, well, the only thing we really know about this team is they're big. Yeah. But apparently your size and your quickness was too much for Southview.
Well, I'll tell you, and the other piece with that, just their size on their defensive front. We had an offensive lineman that had kind of a fluke injury right before the game, so we ended up with a sophomore in there, an offensive tackle, and he did a great job just holding up against a really big front. So credit to him, and some tough physical play to Chance Courtney, and Coach Locklear having those guys ready, our offensive line coach. So, again, I just think we've got a lot of guys contributing at each level on both sides of the ball, from the linemen to the specialists. So we just got to continue to improve fundamentally this week, and if we can do that in each phase, I think we have a good chance. Got a really tough opponent in Heritage, though.
We're going to talk about those in a few minutes, but let's take a look at some of the highlights from your win against Southview, 63-20, as the Vikings come out victorious at home in round 2 of the 4A state playoffs. Let's take a look at some of the video.
Starting on the first, it was our first series defensively, getting a sack there. I want to say it was Landon Romano. I think he had a few in the game. But this is our first play offensively. Josh Jones rolling out and hitting Anthony Schiavone down the sideline. So starting with a bang, and then our first play of the next drive was Lloyd Giroux, breaking off about a 60-yard touchdown run. So each of those drives ended in big plays. This is Scott Looney stunning through there, getting some good pressure in the backfield, and freeing the defensive line up to come off a block and make some plays. Trey Hauser getting the jet sweep. He continues to just be a great weapon. Running the ball, catching the ball, returning the ball. So doing a good job for us. Back on the defensive side, some good pressure in there. It was Mackenzie Frazier, Christian Holler in on it, several guys. That was Landon Romano getting his hands up, knocking it down, and making the tackle. He batted the ball, but then it went straight into a Southview player's hands. This is Romano again. So again, you see he had a great night. At defensive end for us. Josh Jones to Drew Medley. You mentioned all those weapons. Drew's got 3 or 4 touchdowns for us this year, just as a second tight end. They lose him sometimes, and he does a great job of catching the football in space. So here's Trey Hauser again. Some good blocking, cutting him loose there. Coach Locklear does our special teams. Our offensive line does a great job. We'll sprint out pass here, screening backside to Austin Edwards, our tight end. Again, you look, that's 5 offensive linemen out leading him right there. That's just outstanding. Donovan Simmons, guys, just leading out front. Garrett Manning in on that tackle. Garrett had 14 tackles as a sophomore linebacker. That's pretty impressive. Here's Kenneth Marshall. Again, You see the speed potential he has is only a junior for us. First year playing the position, and he's really come along. And back over to the defensive side, and Christian Holler getting a good quarterback hurry and forcing a bad throw that Tayshawn James was able to intercept. And then in the fourth quarter, Evan Manning, who was here last week, I mentioned to you earlier, Lloyd Giroux and Evan Manning, who were on the show last week, both got in the end zone. So I was excited for, the fullback in today's football game doesn't score as many touchdowns as maybe they used to, and Evan breaking off a big run there at the end was an exciting moment for the team.
Yeah, great job there offensively. And again, a lot of credit has to go to that offensive line. Just
No
looking
doubt
at that video right there, the protection that Josh had when he was throwing, and then some of the holes were huge.
That's it.
And a great job by the offensive line. Let's go back and talk about your concerns in this contest, although we saw some great highlights defensively. You said you had some issues with tackling.
We did. They had some big physical backs. I'd say that as a team, Southview had great size up front, we mentioned last week. But their backfield, and particularly their, it's kind of a wing T offense or a split wing offense, and they had two ball carriers in particular, had just good size, kind of like Lloyd, that, we missed some tackles earlier, just not wrapping up and fundamentals like that we've done a great job of all year and just got a little sloppy on. And, again, 6 points in the first quarter, but, guys adjusted on the sideline and really tightened it up to keep them pretty well contained outside of a kickoff and then a late touchdown in the fourth quarter. We hate giving that one up late, but overall, a pretty strong performance after that first drive.
Coach, of course, you had a bye the first week. How critical was it for your team to come out and do exactly what they did, get started early, get some quick scores early to get back into the flow of things?
I think it was huge. I mean, the way our offense was able to seemingly just score right there at the beginning of the game was outstanding. Again, Josh kind of running things, but Coach Dylan Demick, our offensive coordinator, just he continues to get guys just formationally in a place that is to our advantage. And we're over trying to adjust defensively. We got the guys that just come off, particularly after that first touchdown, and we really didn't even have time to adjust because we're back on the field so fast because we're scoring so fast. So I always tell him that's a good problem to have. I'm never going to fuss about that one.
Great win here for the Hoggard Vikings, 63-20 over Southview. And of course, you now move on to round 3. Doesn't get any easier. Good news is you're at home again.
That's right.
So you'll be the number 2 seed and now taking on the number 6 seed in Heritage on Friday night at Scott Braswell Stadium. And again, expected to have a big crowd out there for round 3 for the Vikings. Heritage, tell us about what this team brings to the table.
I'd say they're extremely talented, well known out of Raleigh. They've got a lot of big time prospects and talent and all that. Their defensive line in particular is very good. Their linebackers. I mean, really at all levels on the defensive side of the ball, they're going to present some challenges for us. But again, I think we're executing offensively. It's really clicking right now. If we can continue to build on that with a good week of practice, we need to be able to have a balanced attack against them. And then offensively, they remind me of us. I mean, they do a good job they've got a great run game, but they've got a quarterback that can spread it around really well, and an offensive line that's pretty sound up front. So both sides of the ball, I think special teams could be a big factor. So we're going to emphasize that and do our best to win that phase of the game. And as I mentioned several times, just the little pieces. It was funny. Somebody was asking me earlier this morning, like, "What are you adding in new?" So, it's get better at what we do, and clean up those fundamentals. And I think it's going to be a great night. That's what I can say. It's going to be a great game.
You mentioned special teams. We didn't talk too much about special teams in this win against Southview this week, but in weeks past, your special teams have been critical to your victories.
I know about it.
From the punting game and putting the opponent back, inside their own 10, with your punter. Obviously, Kim, your field goal kicker, gives you that tool, that offensive weapon that you can count on. And then, on kickoffs, he's able to get the kickoff all the way into the end zone, so there's not going to be much of a return. How critical will the special teams be in this game against Heritage?
Oh, I think it's a huge factor. Huge factor in the game will be the field position phase. I tell you, kind of an unsung hero that we have on special teams is C.J. Pipkin, who's our punt returner. And, you know, a lot of what we do is pressure up front and some different things like that you know, it's not usually a big wall for him or anything like that, but he is, you know, he's averaging about 15 yards a return when he's not fair catching. And, again, just, you know, setting our offense up for success, and Hauser on the back end of that kick return. You know, the good thing is if you kick it to them, we always feel like we have a good chance at getting some yards. And, you know, if they don't and they do more of the pooch style kickoff, you know, we feel like we're going to get good field position out of that deal. So special teams are a huge factor.
You mentioned earlier a few folks that got injured. In terms of injuries and looking towards this week, give us an update on those injuries.
You know, overall, we have gotten back most of the players that we had out. We did. We suffered a tough one Friday night. Junior defensive end Brooks Carey had a leg injury that is going to shut him down. So that was. I hate it for our team, and I hate it for him because he's really had a great junior season. He's just one of those motor players. I mean, if you watch the film, he never stops. We love him for that. We're going to miss him big time. But again, I mean, it's a game of attrition, and we've got some guys that have got to step into that role. They did a good job in the second half the other night, and we've got some different personnel that's going to rotate in to help us with that. So overall, pretty healthy, but that was a tough blow there.
Well, Coach, congratulations again on your big win in round 2 against Southview, 63-20. Coach Craig Underwood with the Hoggard Vikings with us as the Vikings now move on to the 3rd round. They'll be at home on Friday night taking on Heritage. 7:30 is game time. Come out and support the Vikings. Also, if you're a New Hanover Wildcat fan, go over and support the Wildcats at Legion Stadium on Friday night. Again, game time 7:30 as they take on Cape Fear, both in the 3rd round of the playoffs. This is awesome for Wilmington. Come out and support the teams. Till next week, I'm Tom Lamont for the Sports Roundtable.